Hi, boys and girls. I'm Mrs. Riley. Thank you for tuning in. I'm very excited to read chapter 26 through chapter 30 with you tonight. We're going to start on page 100, chapter 26, Having a Blast. In no time at all, after a ton of data gathering and number crunching, the big day, February 14th, arrives. Sure, some people call it Valentine's Day, but for me and my friends, it's just Science Fair Day. No frilly cards or heart-shaped boxes of chocolates required. I have all my research written up in cool charts and graphics. I have the side-by-side crater photos. I even have Tim's iPad, he let me borrow it, running a loop of awesome slow-motion clips of marbles, hitting the dusty flour, making craters, and flinging cocoa spray out in all directions. I'm also going to set up a fresh flour cocoa pan and let science fair goers drop marbles to make their own craters. Tim loved that idea. It's interactive, he said, and you can use my marble shooter robot. My mother picked it up for me when she and my father were on a trip to Japan. It's an alien robot from outer space. People can shoot a high-velocity marble at a cake pan without having to stand on a ladder. I told Tim I wasn't sure I needed the robot. He said it would give my exhibit some pizzazz. I said I still wasn't sure. Tim looked really sad. So yes, I'm now adding a marble shooting robot from outer space to my science project for pizzazz. Good luck, kiddo, said my dad when he hit the parking lot and unloaded my exhibit. Dad helps me stack my science fair stuff onto a rickety rolling cart, and I'll check out the exhibits as soon as I'm done with my classes. We're in the gym. Perfect. He takes off for the PAC just as Ainsley Braden Hammerschmidt's ginormous SUV pulls up. The driver uses a remote to open the rear hatch and unloads Ainsley's display. Do you have your note cards for your speech to the judges? Asked Ainsley's mother. Yes, mother. Then crush it. Every day, in every way. The driver lugs Ainsley's science project up the steps for her. I have to bang out old wheelie cart up the steps, one at a time. I sort of wish Dad had given me a hand. Guess he was eager to go tinkle the ivories of his gasp. Steinway Grand. That nanny who carries more cargo than a pack mule has it worse than me. She's balancing 6 backpacks while simultaneously tugging a rolling suitcase. Do you need help? I asked. Thank you, she said, but your hands are full. Not as full as yours. I take 3 backpacks. I sling one over my shoulders, loop 2 more over my arms, and still have a free hand to drag my wheelie cart. I haul my stuff to the gymnasium and find my assigned spot. It's right between Suraj and Ainsley. This is it, Piper, says Suraj. The big day. Yeah. Where's Emily? Over there, said Suraj. We both arrived super early this morning. Neither of us could sleep last night. I see that his exhibit is all set up and ready to go. And, as it turns out, we're both playing with marbles. Chapter 27, Brain Power. Suraj is some sort of slanted triangular array of pegs where you pour marbles in the top and they make their random way down to bins on the bottom, bouncing right or left with every peg they hit. It's a quincux of probability distribution analysis, says Suraj. Since there is an equal chance of a marble bouncing left or right at each peg, the marble stacks in the bins below will, on average, form the classic bell-shaped curve of normal distribution. Fantastic, I say. I dump a tub of marbles into the top. They do end up in the classic bell-shaped curve Suraj and I were expecting. In fact, a few of them wind up at the far edges of the quincunx's bottom rack. That'll happen, says Suraj, sometimes. I give him a quick tour of my crater creation exhibit. Awesome, he says after he shoots a marble out of the Japanese robot's belly to blast his own impact crater on the surface of my cake pan moon. I glance over at Ainsley's trifold cardboard display. Her exhibit is titled Gemstones, Earth's Most Expensive Crystallized Minerals. It appears to be a collection of her mother's jewelry and some crystals she grew in a fridge with salt and food coloring. When Mrs. Oliverio and the other science fair judges come up with their own row of exhibits, Ainsley launches into a speech. She reads off pink note cards about diamonds being the most beautifully compressed carbon atoms imaginable, and rubies being red because of their red-hot friend, chromium. When it's Suraj's turn, he does the very dark, kind of mumbled recitation of probability formulas. He also sweats a lot. Very good, Siraj, said Mrs. Oliverio. Piper, it's my turn. I tell the judges my top line inferences. The rounder the object hitting the moon, the faster an object is traveling. The farther away an object is from the moon, the larger the crater it creates. Then I let them take turns shooting marbles at my lunar surface cake pan. Mrs. Oliverio loves the robot. It reminds me of the way Nellie Dumont Frise makes astronomy fun in her videos. I think she'd be impressed by your project, Piper. Could there be a higher compliment? No, there could not. Tim let me borrow the robot. I tell the judges. Because he's an excellent showman, says Mrs. Oliverio. Good job, Piper. After the judges visit all the exhibits, we have to leave so they can deliberate. The gym is still locked at 3 when classes are over. Dad's waiting outside the doors. So is an eager and anxious crowd. Siraj has all his fingers crossed, probably his toes too. Emily is bobbing up and down on her toes like she has to go to the bathroom. Ainsley looks like she's ready to sign autographs. Have you guys heard anything? Asked Dad. I shake my head. Siraj does the same. We're both too nervous to speak. If the Himmelflits want a shot at the Excelsior, says Emily, still bouncing up and down, one of us has to win this thing. Finally, someone inside unlocks the doors. We all race to our exhibits. Yes, says Dad's with a mighty arm pump. There's a blue ribbon hanging off my trifold board. I took first place. Ainsley's gemstones and Siraj's quincunx both earned an honorable mention. So did Emily's exhibit about the geometry of origami. She called it origometry. Ainsley isn't happy with her yellow ribbon. Are you two trying to ruin my life? She hisses at Dad and me. Then she stomps out of the gym as Tim comes in. How'd we do, he asks. I show him the blue ribbon. First place. Thank you so much, Tim. I couldn't have done this without you. You're welcome. So now that the science fair is finally over, you want to come to my house this weekend? Mom bought me a new trick. She doesn't have time, says Siraj. Tim looks confused. Me too? Piper's in the lead for the Excelsior Award now, says Emily, who's drifted over to join us. You guys, says Dad. I don't think. It's true, Mr. Milley, says Siraj. This is the only single winter competition of the entire winter term. Therefore, we have to assume that Piper now has the best shot of beating Ainsley and Carter and all the popular kids who always win everything. She needs to focus, sir, Emily tells Dad. She turns to Tim. Sorry, Tim. This isn't just about Piper. It's about all of us. Tim looks at me. His eyes are sad. The new trick is amazing, he says. I'm sure it is, I tell him. But if Siraj is right, he is, says Emily. Please, Piper, do it for every kid that Ainsley Braden Hammerschmidt ever called a dork or a nerd. Or a dweeb, said Siraj. She calls me that sometimes, too. Tim, you have to understand, says Emily. Piper needs to find more things to excel at. She won't have time for magic tricks. Tim just looks hurt. You should always take time for magic. I know, Tim is right. But I'm also remembering what Mr. Van Dosen said about the word Excelsior, meaning ever upward. Aim higher and higher, he told us. Where would Nellie Dumont Frise be if she and the whole space program didn't aim as high as they possibly could? It's like that song lyric she quoted in one of her videos. Don't tell me the sky's the limit when there are footprints on the moon. I have a chance of boldly going where no one else, like Siraj, Emily, Quam, Tim, or me, has ever gone before. I need to do this thing. It's time to do what Nellie would do. It's time to push a few limits. Don't worry, I tell Tim. There will be plenty of time for magic, I promise, right after March 15th. Who do I want to be? Still not sure, Mr. Van Dosen, but today I feel a little like one of Siraj's marbles, bouncing around and willing to end up wherever fate and gravity and the laws of probability take me. Even if it's a slot I never dreamed of landing in, it might be time for me to imagine my own footprints on a distant moon. If not for me, then for all those counting on me. So, okay. Today I know exactly who I want to be. The winner of Chumley Prep's first ever Excelsior Award. The one who gets a plaque right next to Mom's. Chapter 28, Achieving Orbit. That evening, there's a science fair reception. Mrs. Oliverio puts dry ice in the punch bowl so it looks mad scientistish. We stand in front of our exhibits while parents we don't know come up and tell us how brilliant we are and how awesome. Dad's at the party and people are congratulating him too. You must be so proud of your daughter, says one person after another. I am, says Dad, I always have been. Ainsley Brandon Hammerschmidt and her family skipped the science fair celebration. She's so mad at me. It's like I stole something she thought she was entitled to. Some parents chatting with Dad find out, and not only is she the Chumley Prep music instructor, but he is also the composer of several show tunes that could become a musical. I advise some investors in New York City who might be interested in backing a Broadway show, says Brooke's father, Mr. Breckenridge. He flicks Dad's business card. We should talk. Dad beams. It feels fantastic to be a winner. It feels even better to see Dad so happy. You know what? I think I'm all done with this blending in. The next day, starting in homeroom, Ainsley and her friends are whispering, pointing, and shooting me nasty looks whenever and wherever they can. Between periods, I catch up with Suraj and Emily near the girls' bathroom, which is closed for service. They want to brainstorm new ways for me to excel. You should consider joining the mathlete squad with Emily, suggests Suraj. We'd love to have you, said Emily. So what does a mathlete team do? I asked. We never had one at Westside. We compete in mathematics competitions, said Emily. They're formatted like a quiz show on TV. Last year we came in second at the state championship. However, this year, she stops mid-sentence because Ainsley is sashaying up the hall, trailing up what looks like half the middle school. Ainsley doesn't look happy. Hello, Piper Millie. Contempt drips off every syllable in my name. What are you three doing? Shooting marbles at each other's butts? The crowd giggles. I'm ready to start blending in again. When you aim for the stars, sometimes you run into angry asteroids named Ainsley. She prowls forward, like a lioness moving in for the kill. I certainly hope you enjoyed your little science fair victory party last night, because this is war. When Ainsley says that, the whole crowd goes, ooh. Well, everyone except me and my friends. We just sort of trembled in fear. Chapter 29, Bursting My Bubble. War, says Suraj, because I'm too stunned to say anything myself. You heard me, Suraj. Your friend may have won the blue ribbon, but that doesn't mean she deserves to win the first ever Excelsior Award. Why? Let me count the ways. 1. Piper Millie is a new student. The Excelsior should go to a new, loyal Chumley student who has attended this institution for a minimum of 7 years. Well, I've done that, says Suraj. Ainsley ignores him and steamrolls ahead. 2. Piper Millie's winning science project was absurd. Shooting marbles at an unbaked cake? That's just sad. 3. And most importantly, Piper Millie is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a person who excels. And how could you possibly know that? Asked Emily. Easy. Because I'm a person that excels. And when I look in the mirror, I do not see Piper Millie. I don't see you, Emily, or you, Suraj, either. I see me. Ooh, the crowd says again. I think they're itching for a fight. Help! Cries a voice. It isn't mine, even though that's exactly what I'm thinking inside. Help! Chapter 30. This stinks. Literally. Help! The man cries again from inside the closed for service girls' bathroom. This toilet won't stop flushing. Help, please. Ainsley sneers at me. Piper, I'm sure that with all your poop scooping experience, you know how to deal with any and all toilet-related emergencies. I can hear a toilet flushing over and over again, and water just sloshing out of the bowl. Ainsley's laughing. The bell rings. The crowd disperses. Fast. My friends, too. Can't be late for class, Suraj says over his shoulder as he practically trots up the hall. Big test. Yes, said Emily. Huge test. Gotta run. But think about mathletes. She and Suraj vanish. Help! Shouts the man in the bathroom. Somebody, anybody. I'm alone in the hall. It's just me, the panicked voice, and the gross foamy water seeping out from underneath the bathroom door. I take a deep breath, pinch my nose, and step into a disaster zone. I see a wide-eyed, terrified janitor clutching a plunger. He's younger than all the custodians at Chumley. He's also frozen with panic. It's my first day, he has to shout to be heard over the cascading water. I go into full Apollo 13 mode. You know, where you have to solve a problem to avert a disaster using only what's on hand, like the 3 astronauts did during the doomed Apollo 13 mission. Did you plunge it? It's not a clog. They're going to fire me. I know they are. Sir, I say in my firmest voice, calmest astronaut voice. It's the way I imagine Nellie Dumont Frise sounding when people around her start freaking out. Did you try shutting off the water? What? Okay, I think. How come I know more about fixing an overflowing toilet than a professional custodian? Maybe he's a substitute janitor, like a substitute teacher. Water keeps gurgling over the lip of the bowl. Soggy wads of toilet paper and crumpled hand towels are drifting across the floor like lumpy jellyfish. I look behind the janitor and I see a narrow metal door built into the wall. There's a sign on it, shut off valve. Behind the door, I shout, there's a shut off valve. Are you sure? Yeah, read the sign. I can't believe this guy. He must be Dr. Throckmorton's nephew or something. How else did he get this job? Finally, he pops open the cabinet, finds the valve, and with a mighty twist, rotates it to the off position. The water stops gushing out of the commode. It worked. Thank you. You're welcome. The janitor is thrilled. Me? I'm just thinking about what Ainsley said and wondering what a person who excels looks like. And I'm pretty sure they don't have socks and shoes that are soggy and squishy.